1, 2, 3. 3 strikes and you're out. Out of society and into a cell. A concrete and isolated hellhole with only the company of your pest-infested mattress and your dirty prison uniform. No spouse, no children, no pets. Just you and your regrets. Does this sound like a deserved life for someone who's committed 2 fraud felonies and then steals a pack of gum? Whether you think so or not, this question can be answered with 4 words: the 3 strikes law. Although some people believe that this is beneficial to society, I think that it is cruel and shameful. For starters, it overcrowds prisons, which makes citizens pay more. It won't stop violent criminals from committing acts, and it pulls loved ones away from their families for crimes that do not warrant such harsh punishment. For those unaware, the 3 strikes law was implemented in March of 1994, and it was sold to those voters as a way of getting child molesters, rapists, and psychopaths off the streets for good. What this law entails is that if a person has committed 2 previous violent crimes, their sentence for the 3rd one is life imprisonment, with a minimum of 25 years. This is much stricter than the previous law that was implemented. Before, it was the same rules, however, a prisoner would only be in jail for 7 years. Furthermore, they could get out in 3.5 years if they demonstrated good behavior, which could mean not acting out or helping in the kitchen. 3 strikes prevents the situation by taking the focus off the crime and putting it on the criminal. The first predicament that this law creates is prison overcrowding. This has been an ongoing issue throughout America for centuries, and it creates negative effects not only for the inmates, but also for the citizens of America. The population has been paying money out of their own pocket to put non-violent criminals behind bars when there's psychopaths running amok. Once California administered this law in 1994, it only took 9 hours for it to claim its first victim, a schizophrenic homeless man named Lester Wallace, who already had 2 burglaries on his sheet, and then he stole a car radio in the USC parking lot. He went to court, and he got 25 years to life in prison. This is only one of the many unfortunate cases where a non-violent criminal is put in prison for their life, and it's simply unfair. Another reason why this law should not be in effect is because it does not stop the worst criminals from committing violent acts. Most violent crimes are not premeditated, which means that it happens out of anger or possibly a person is under the influence of alcohol. The prospect of a life sentence is not going to stop people who act on impulse and who don't care about the consequences of their actions. Also, repeat offenders do not consider penalties because they don't anticipate being caught. And that statement is actually very accurate. From the American Bar Association, they note that of the 34 million violent crimes that are committed throughout the United States, only 3 million result in an arrest. Now that just proves that the 3 strikes law is not going to stop criminals from committing violent crimes. Lastly, by having this law in practice, loving families that should remain intact are going to be split apart for a minimum of 25 years. With a family that has 1 or more kids, this imprisonment can cause a variety of negative effects on those children. Around 5 million, or approximately 7% of all kids in the United States, previously have or currently have a parent that's incarcerated. And that stat is from the National Survey of Children's Health. These 5 million kids face what psychologists call today a loss of an attachment figure. And this makes those kids have a higher risk of trauma, substance abuse problems, as well as having mental issues because they're living in a separated family. One major takeaway from this is that a direct intervention needs to be made between the parent and the child living at home. That way they can remain with a strong relationship and a positive connection. Although I'm very passionate about not having this as part of our legislation, I do understand that there's going to be some people that disagree with me and think that this is a positive, is very beneficial to society. For example, people who support this law claim that the 3 strikes prevent criminals from costing society in the form of crime investigation, apprehension, and persecution. Also, strikers with non-violent drug convictions are actually eligible to receive treatment as opposed to being behind bars for life. Supporters say that critics bemoan the fact that the person's 3rd strike is not violent. But why should we wait for a habitual criminal to commit another violent act when they can be behind bars for life? Although these claims are valid, the fact of the matter is the 3 strikes law violates the 8th Amendment of cruel and unusual punishment, and from an article in the Rolling Stones, is a terrible embarrassment. In all honesty, the best way to go about this situation is to eliminate this law as a whole. If that happens, certain benefits will ensue, such as our prisons becoming less full, and it keeps families together living in the same household, even if their parent is considered a felon or a criminal. Those interested in ending this law can sign a petition, whether you're a citizen of the United States or not. Also, although previous revisions have been in place, one recent one that currently just happened was in our past election, and you could have been a part of this change if you voted, and that is on Proposition 57. In summary, basically this proposition loosens the rules for prisoners. That way we're decreasing the amount of prisoners that are in jail. So I hope everyone voted yes on Proposition 57, but it did get passed. With this amendment and petition, I think that America is moving in the right direction. However, I still believe that the most beneficial way is to just end this law and all. For starters, it services the current issue of overcrowding prisons. It remains neutral in the fact that crimes are still going to happen no matter what law is in place. And it greatly benefits families, especially their children. A wise prisoner once stated, "It is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside of its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones." Nelson Mandela. Now let's treat our lowest citizens with respect and dignity. 1, 2, 3. 3 strikes, but you're not necessarily out. Thank you.